Hello everyone, I am happy to welcome you all to a module on open versus secrecy. This is part of a module of the MOOC on media law and ethics. In this presentation, let us discuss about what is openness and what is secret in a democracy, how to balance it, and can we afford to have secrecy in governance? If so, how much you can have that? How open we can have a democracy? What is the status in the entire global scenario? What mechanisms have been created by global intellectuals to have a better democracy? I welcome you all into the course. Actually, information is called as oxygen of democracy. Like a human body, when we need oxygen to every part of the system, the same way information is required if you want to have an efficient way of democracy. So, this particular information, if you have access to every part of the body, if you have access to every part of the democracy, then the democracy will be more aggressive and more vibrant. And people should know that whom they are being governed by, who are the rulers, what are the decision making they have been taking, how do they take the decision. After all, democracy is a government run by the people. So, the people should know every action of the government, every effort of the government, which needs to be informed to them regularly. So, this is being called the oxygen of democracy. And the democracy expects openness, and openness has been seen as a feature of democracy, and it is possible only when the people have the right to know, only when they have the access to information sources and they can keep the checking of the government, only when the people are having the ability to check the progress of the government, then this can be an efficient government. And openness is a precondition for preventing corruption and avoiding maladministration. If you want to have a corruption free administration and if you want to have an efficient administration, then the condition being put by the experts is openness only. Openness negates the ideas of arbitrary and oppressive forms of government, and openness cannot, if you have the open government, then there cannot be arbitrary form of decision making. Look at the idea of a popular intellectual, popular great man called Sir Francis Bacon, who said that all governments are obscure and invisible. Governments, if you say government, then there will be obscurity, there will be darkness, and you can't see everything inside the government, it will not be visible. So, he says that freedom without information is meaningless. If you want, though you have lot of freedom, and if you do not have the information, the so called oxygen, then that will be useless. Having understood the need for having the openness in the government or access to information and the light of democracy, the Pondicherry University has in the insignia we have Tamasoma Jyotirgamaya. This is the slogan that is being enshrined in the insignia of the Pondicherry University, which means that, "O Lord, you lead me from the darkness to the light, from ignorance to the knowledge." So, ignorance is being called darkness, knowledge is being called light. So, we want everyone to take from the darkness to the light. If you look at one of the popular Supreme Court judgment that was delivered immediately after the emergency, the popular case is known as Menaka Gandhi versus Union of India 1978. It is a very popular case, but which discussed about the need to have the freedom of information, that held that government which reveals secrecy in the field of people's liberty not only acts against democratic decency, but buries itself within its own burial. So, it stated that any government which is interested in a democratic form of governance, then particularly with regard to personal liberty, the government cannot think about denying information to the particular citizen. So, that was the popular judgment delivered in 1978. And if you look at theoretical aspects of understanding the openness, people say that there are 4 basic values that reinforce the need to have more open government. One, to promote more ethical conduct. The government will be conducted in a more ethical way without having any bias. To enhance executive accountability, accountability in the sense answerable to the public, not only to the public, to the press, to the civil society, to the NGO, everyone will be answerable if you have a open government. To advance more informed policy making and to keep individual citizens and groups advance particular rights and interests. So, the fourth is you can advance the interests and rights of the group that whom they are the stakeholders. If you look at globally, Sweden happened to be the probably the oldest or the first one to enforce the policy of openness in administration. They were the pioneers in, even now that there is one of the beautiful country that advances the open form of government in their administration. Sweden has established cultures that access to government department and documents as a right, and there are exceptions only for non-access. Actually, the interesting part is that they permit every citizen of the Sweden country to access the public records, and the interesting part is that anybody can access the Swedish government documents. He need not be or she need not be the citizen of the Swedish government. Somebody from India, somebody from Europe or somebody from Australia, they can access, and if they want to see the document, whether they are connected to the document or not, whether they have any interest in that or right in that, the government says that public documents are meant for anybody in the world. That is a very interesting part of this analysis. And if you look at 1948 UDHR, one of the pioneering document that insisted to have the right to freedom of information. Everyone has the right of freedom of opinion and expression. This right includes freedom to hold opinions without interference and to seek, receive and impart information and ideas through any media and regardless of frontiers. This is one of the earliest document which insisted that anybody should have to have access to the freedom of information, which is the lifeblood, which is the oxygen of the entire democracy. If you look at the argument of Amartya Sen, the Nobel laureate, he insists that wherever there is a free press, wherever there is a open government, then there cannot be a chance even for a famine. There cannot be even chance for a poverty. Actually, he talks about famine only, not poverty. Famine in the sense that only when you have a dark government where you keep on holding the documents or access to information, then that leads to a form of famine only. So, this is an interesting argument that puts us an idea about the need to have the open government. So, this presentation gave you an idea of what is open government and what are the efforts that have been taken by the global intellectuals to advance the need to have a open government in a democracy.